Finding the gang who left her boyfriend in a coma.
20-year-old Michael Ogabui was travelling on a train from Southend into London with his pregnant girlfriend when he was attacked. He collapsed 2 weeks later and has been unconscious in hospital ever since. His girlfriend says she's devastated her baby daughter may never get to know her father.
Molly Jones still finds it hard to talk about the attack. The father of her baby may die from the injuries he suffered at the hands of a gang.
I can't explain how I feel about them. I just hope in the future something happens to them like it's happened to me and my family, and then they'll realise how it feels to be hurt like that.
Molly and Michael Ogabui became parents just days before he went into a coma.
It's difficult.
What's been the most difficult thing?
Just looking at her face. Because every time I look at her, I look at him, and he can't help her.
On Friday, May the 29th, Michael was travelling into London by train with a heavily pregnant Molly when he was subjected to what transport police describe as an unprovoked attack.
After the attack, Michael and Molly got off the train here at Benfleet Station. Michael immediately began complaining of headaches. 2 weeks later, he suffered a fit and lost consciousness.
He'd spent just 6 days with Ava, his newborn daughter.
He was really happy. I can't explain how happy he was, because he was still suffering from headaches, but I don't know, he just used to stare at her for hours.
Transport police have now made 20 arrests in connection with the assault, some in dawn raids on a housing estate in London. But they still want witnesses who were on the train to come forward.
Any piece of information, no matter how small, may be vital to you.
Yes, your viewers might be sitting at home, they might be thinking, actually, well, somebody else will tell police that. Please don't think that way, actually. Any information will be a benefit.
And when you talk to Michael in hospital, what sort of things do you say to him?
Just that I love him, what we did in the past, how his little girl's doing.
But Molly may now have to raise their little girl without Michael. Gareth George, BBC Look East.
And if you have any information about that attack, you can phone British Transport Police on 0800 40 50 40.
Police have decided to drop charges against a man who carried out a citizen's arrest on a teenager he believed was throwing apples at his house. Roland Digby held the teenager in a full Nelson arm and headlock to stop him getting away. 5 days later, he was charged with assault after a complaint was made. He appeared in court last week, but Hertfordshire Police today announced it was dropping the charges in recognition of the challenging circumstances surrounding the case. Roland Digby joins me from his home in Royston now. You must be very relieved. How did you hear the news today?
Believe it or not, I had a telephone call from a local newspaper journalist asking me what I thought about the charges being dropped. I hadn't heard at that point, so that's how I heard.
And have you heard anything from the police since then?
No, I've had no communication from the police or the CPS directly, although, of course, I've spoken to the solicitor that's representing me, and he's confirmed the fact that the CPS have discontinued the action.
The police often say that people shouldn't take the law into their own hands. Wouldn't it have been better in hindsight to wait until they came to sort it out? Because they did come soon after.
Yes, you could say that, but in places like Royston, we are very undermanned police-wise, and the incident was over and done with before the police actually arrived. I actually spoke to them after the incident, so and it had gone on for 2 previous evenings as well, and from letters and people that I've spoken to since this sort of became public, it's been going on for a lot longer than that. So no, I think I had to do what I had to do.
Lawyers always say that there's a grey area around citizens' arrests and how much force can be used. I mean, would you personally ever do it again?
Faced with the same scenario, I would always give the police the opportunity to resolve things first. Give them plenty of opportunity, but to be honest, if that wasn't possible, faced with protecting my own or my family, yeah, I'd do the same again.
Roland Digby, thank you very much. Well, we did ask Hertfordshire Police for an interview. They have sent us this statement. This decision was taken after lengthy consideration by the CPS in consultation with the police. Authorities have to ensure there's enough evidence to provide a realistic prospect of conviction or that a prosecution would be in the public interest.
2 police officers who were taken off frontline duties after using CS spray during an arrest in Brentwood have now been suspended from all duties. The officers were trying to restrain Alan Lethbridge, who still faces a charge of common assault on a paramedic. 2 other charges against him have been dropped. The Independent Police Complaints Commission is still investigating. GM Motors has unveiled a new electric car which could be a lifeline for Luton. It will be built in Europe. It went on show at the Labour Party conference in Brighton today, but GM still has to make a decision about which factory will build it.
Could this be Luton's lifesaver? The business secretary unveiled GM's new electric car this morning, watched by staff from Luton and their local MP. GM's new owners want to build the car in Europe, but haven't decided where yet. Could Luton be the place?
Well, Luton is very important, and I'm encouraged by what the Magna International representatives have said to date about the continuation of production and the contract for the immediate years to come. But what we want to see is security of production beyond 2013.
At the moment, Luton produces vans, but its new owners have only guaranteed production until 2013. That's why there's been such a big campaign here to keep Luton in the spotlight.
People are uncertain. You know, what we really need to do is keep making sure that we have a commitment to secure production beyond 2013. So it's not over yet, basically.
How much hope are you attaching to this new car?
Well, it's one of the options. We've really got to be, pushing to make sure we can get something like this at Luton.
The new car can travel around 40 miles just on its battery, a further 260 using a petrol-driven generator. And inside it looks very stylish. The company wants to start production in 2012, just as van production in Luton could be winding down. It has to be said that Ellesmere Port is probably the favourite to build this car at the moment, but Luton hopes they'll be able to get a piece of the action. There's going to be an intense lobbying campaign by staff and MPs over the next few months. Andrew Sinclair, BBC Look East, at the Labour conference in Brighton.
Well, still to come in Look East, the courts which have been branded not fit for purpose despite millions of pounds of public money.
We'll have your feedback after 2 mothers were told they were breaking the law by looking after each other's children. And Richard Daniels has been at one of the region's vineyards.
Yes, these fabulous grapes are one